Never thought I'd be divorced, even if it was the most miserable thing in my life. I'm a Catholic kid from Long Island. I had just finished buying properties, and I was getting ready to have the boat charter business, the Airbnbs, and I was going to be captain of hospitality. And you just went, what? Yeah. Overnight. I was so depressed, and so it put me in a spin. And when I started to finally come out of it, I started hearing birds chirp again.
Having a beer with Fred is really about getting to people's passion and what makes them tick. Having a beer and having honest, frank, clear conversation that inspires our audience is what it's about. As I've said in the past, this show is about entrepreneurship, and it's about people a lot of times that have been involved in my life, our businesses, things that have evolved and happened. And you quickly got involved in Sea Dog Treasure Island, going back, and this is where we're sitting right now. Tell me a little bit, give me your full name and spell it.
I'm Dean DeMott, D-E, capital M. Always capital M is like a big thing in my family. People got annoyed by. O-T-T. I run Marine 13 boat charters, and I also run the dock and marina here at this beautiful location on Treasure Island, which is, what I'm looking at right now. I got lucky. I met Fred and family here.
So let's go back to do you remember the first time we met at, was it at Sea Dog or was it somewhere else?
So when you guys started, when I first started coming here, we kept passing this corner, and I knew that this was going to be something at some point that was going to pop off. It was Salty Rim was over here at the time. So I remember I was working Compass Rose. I was working a 49 passenger boat. I just started, became a captain the year before, and met a couple people. I had known Charlie. I had met Charlie.
Charlie Breakiron, our GM.
Charlie Breakiron, GM. I met him like randomly, like a decade before. So when that all was happening, I kind of just popped in and said I'd take everybody up for a sunset.
So flashing back to entrepreneurial experiences and things, where were you brought up? Why and how did you end up being a little bit of an entrepreneur, starting your own Marine 13? But just what do you think the top things?
I can't work for other people.
Yeah,
I have a bit of an issue. I don't think it's an issue taking orders or an issue doing things that I'm after. Right. It's just the day-to-day answering to other people. The overlord thing never worked for you.
So you were right out of high school. You went in the military. Thanks to your service.
I didn't do so well with college. Was playing sport and not going to class. So off to the Navy. My coach George Powers, great dude, told me that I should make a different choice for a time being. George is still going. Really an amazing guy.
And what town were you playing?
That was Garden City, Long Island.
Yep.
I grew up
playing lacrosse.
And so Navy, did the Navy thing. Came home from the Navy. Actually tried to stay in Key West when I was getting out of the Navy and fish. But my father told me that I had agreed that I would go back to college, and I was, quote unquote, to get my ass back home to New York.
Yeah.
So I went home, played lacrosse, played at Nassau. So Nassau's community college. Was blessed to win a national championship there.
Wow.
I was probably, couple hundred guys try out for that team. I was probably I think 39 stay on the roster. I was probably the 39th guy all day. I was a little older, of course, because of the Navy. But at the end of the day, did that. Then Malloy College and started that lacrosse program, which now they're getting ready to. They just won a playoff game, first time in school history.
And so you have a career in business. You told me you're involved in reading NFL. Where's that?
First job I had after college. My recruiting to go to work was a trip to Hawaii in the Pro Bowl. So I went to work for the NFL. I did that for a while, and then I started to realize that, I couldn't kick, punt, or pass, so I was never going to make any money. So with that, I had a fight with one of the GMs they brought in from Denver, who was kind of overlooked me and called my father and broke his heart again and told him that I was leaving, I think, the job that he, made sure
working for the NFL.
Yeah, that was I was born into it. My dad taught a kid that went to work, was the director of game operations for the NFL. So it was like my birthright, I guess, at some point. So I called him, told him I'm quitting, and he's asking what I'm going to do. I said, I'm just not sure quite yet. So that's kind of where the I think I was a bartender growing up. I ran restaurants
around.
I ran, Lacrosse Unlimited retail.
But really, entrepreneurship was an outlet for you. You started your own business because nobody else. I a little bit feel the same way. I can't. I couldn't fit into the mold of being an employee. So fast forward, you show up at Treasure Island at the Sea Dog, right where we are today. And one thing as an entrepreneur, I've learned the hard way is try to stick to things you know or could control a little bit better. And we were lucky enough to get 16 boat slips out front. And I think I did say to Charlie, listen, we should really find somebody that could run these and let somebody else be involved that would have a benefit and maybe offset and bring some value to himself, which really it created a business. I mean, I'm not part of your business. I don't own any part of your business. There were times we talked about that, but I'm glad you're doing well. And so now, what is Marine 13? What does it do?
Boat charters and hospitality. So basically, we have I think there's 8 operators now that are in and out of here, from offshore fishing, inshore fishing, island hopping, sunset, dolphin watch, private, whatever.
Yeah.
And every kind of boat from, Big Dan just got the 54-footer. And, that's where all the friends and family come in, right? So these guys I'm working with are all friends and family.
Well, and Gordy Gronkowski gave me a call and said, hey, I helped the guys. We've got a couple charter boats. I want you to do this and that. And then I passed them to you.
Yeah, so he's got a 42-foot yacht that we access. And they also have these other beautiful double-decker. They call them yacht tunes. Actually, I'm taking one out Tuesday for taking the girls out for Mother's Day. But really beautiful boats, great staff captains. There's a lot of operators in this area, and I think what sets all of them apart is that they're really good people.
Right.
They take great pride in just being kind all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a big deal. They do well out here.
Being an entrepreneur, it's tough sometimes to find balance. It's tough to find balance in your personal life and your business and your other things. So you create, every time I've sent somebody out on a Marine 13 charter, it's been my kids or friends or, referred people, I've always gotten so you've created a great product and you've been able to work through the challenges here, which aren't always easy.
I've always wanted to just, get the apparel and stuff going because I think that's personally, I like the brand. The M and the 13, there's a lot more meaning to it.
What does it mean?
Well, Fair Trade DJ is 13 in Italian and means to do good things.
Yeah.
I've been carrying that around my whole life.
Yeah. Because your mom or your dad or your grandfather?
My grandfather was really the head ginzo.
Tell me about your grandfather.
I ran the milk union.
Yeah.
Big dude, real big dude, quiet, like a breeze.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know, right? At the end of the day, he died young. Unfortunately, they were bringing him out of the hospital and they dropped him out of his wheelchair and he had a massive heart attack right in front of me at age 12. And that was it. So Hapa died and, it kind of changed the dynamic of things. But, that 13 really started there, like the Italian line. And then, unfortunately, going to college, I lost a dear friend of mine, Keith Knack, who wore 13 the year before I did while I was in the Navy. And my coach told me that I couldn't wear it because Keith was such a headache.
Yeah.
The 13 just happens to come with like a little bit of a thing.
That's right. Friday the 13th is such.
And everybody that wears 13 knows it, but nobody else does.
Yeah, you know.
So anyway, he died. He was one of my dearest friends. He died in a car accident New Year's Eve day, going into season that year. And instead of me not being able to wear it, everybody wore it.
Okay.
And then I got to wear it. And then unfortunately we lost the championship that year, but the following year we kicked the snot out of Herkimer.
So his whole thing was give a purpose, have a goal, find something you're passionate about. You have to have a project, you have to be busy, you have to have a goal, no matter who it is. You can't make one up. You have to find that passion. And I think what you're doing with Marine 13 and what you want to do with giving back to people that are struggling with anxiety or depression or other things, I think
people are afraid of it. They don't want to talk about it.
Right.
It's the culmination of my life's work. I've always been, we talked about this stuff in the garage. We were going to be boat charter guys when we grow up. I don't want to go down the road. I lost 2 brothers. my best friends, my closest allies are gone. Like, yes, unfortunately, I've got one or two left, and we're rounding that corner now. We're like you.
Yeah. When you start a business, it's very difficult to create a business that works. In any business, the first 3 to 4 years are very, very difficult. And family members, friends, they pitch in, and there's a difficult time to start. And people think, well, it's easy to start a business until they do it. Right. Yeah. And they think it's easy to start. Right. So I don't care. I don't care what type of business. I mean, the restaurant business is very difficult because it involves, so many pieces of puzzles. If someone's an engineer and he starts an engineering consulting firm, 9 out of 10 times he's probably going to be successful if he has good clients. And there are just a few things now listen, he might not want to manage people or grow it, but it can be complicating. I'm not saying it isn't, because the economy can change. You got to deal with payables, all of that. But
you count on the people that work for you, right? I mean, you've been fortunate. I think over the years, I met a number of people that, whether it's Shipyard or Sea Dog or Ice Pick, the brands all have people, I think, in my opinion, that represent you in a way that it all makes sense.
Right.
So, I mean, the idea of entrepreneurship is real freedom, but it costs a lot.
Well, it struggles. I mean, I see businesses, they're great ideas, they're great things, but there's a flame, right? You start that flame, and if it doesn't turn into a bonfire, you usually don't make it. And
they give ups.
And it's not for anybody's reason. I started in real estate when I was 18, 19 years old, and I remember there was a guy, Johnny Mack, and he said, you just can't give up, Fred. It's going to be a long time between touchdowns or between paydays, but if you stick with it,
that's when sport comes in. You know how to get kicked in the teeth and get back up, and or else you were just the guy that got called Baines.
Right.
You're too weak to get back up.
Right. So with your business, what's the easiest thing about running what's the toughest site?
So boats are easy. People are, 99.9% of people are super happy and joyful. They just, they want to be on the water. Running boats are easy. Great captains, as I said. All the guys that work out of here are amazing. They're just really good at what they do. They're very knowledgeable. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they're kind. They're just overly kind.
No rough old sea captains that's barking out orders.
Yes, it's just, Ian's getting a little bit
rough
there, but he's also
good old guy.
Yeah, he's a good old guy. When you
he's English, an English guy.
Yeah, we won't hold that against him.
Yeah,
the entrepreneurial stuff. This guy's he's 80, almost 80 years old. He's still pushing his boat every day.
And his wife is always
around. She's
right there with
thing. Yeah, and it hits on a couple things. The support system, which is the wife, right?
Yeah,
that has to understand this is your lifestyle. This is what you do. The guy's not miserable. He's here at 4:00 every day for a couple of pints. Yeah. And he it seems to me like he's a pretty happy guy. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, that's an 80-year-old. He's been doing that 30 years. Before that, he ran trucks up in and out of Canada. He worked in Dubai. He's been all over the world.
So to cut into, you're happy with your business. You're happy with your life. You've got got a nice, beautiful girlfriend, and you just got a dog.
Dogs are amazing.
And one of the things we were talking about were helping other people that are struggling.
I just want to be someone that makes people happy and brings some joy into their life when they think there isn't any.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
Yeah,
that's really the thing.
Well, you said you found moderation in your life. You found a way to balance.
Well, COVID did. COVID made anybody that had a tendency to have maybe one too many drinks, someone that had a tendency to have 4 too many.
Yeah.
And then that kind of just kept going. Divorce happened, put me in a spin. Truth be told.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be divorced, even if it was the most miserable thing in my life. I'm a Catholic kid from Long Island.
Yeah.
My parents got divorced. I wasn't getting divorced. I refused. So when that happened, it would put me in a tough situation in a number of ways, from finance to residence to this to that. I had just finished, buying properties, and I was getting ready to have the boat charter business, the Airbnbs, and I was going to be captain of hospitality. And you just went, what? overnight. And that happened to me like literally right in front of my eyes. I was watching it go away.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see it because I was so depressed and like with how my life wasn't, my marriage wasn't good.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. So it put me in a spin. And when I started to finally come out of it, I started hearing birds chirp again. I started thinking about, how the plants grow and not just, the plant is here. So, and then time's a big deal. And people, you get caught in time and you start overthinking things. And so find some stuff to do with your time. The storm hit. I lost everything. We got rescued out of here in a 6x truck. I went to work ripping houses apart the next day because if I didn't,
no crazy,
I would have probably ripped apart Heineken boxes.
Yeah.
So I think I got lucky. I met a good girl who I think that I was ready for certain things. Cigarettes. I've smoked cigarettes my entire adult life. 16, 17, I started, and I was an athlete. It was like, but athletes smoked, I think, like more back then. My dad ripped Marlboros like it was his job and then tried to tell me to quit over and over and over. God rest his soul. Actually, it's next week, a year ago, we lost him. But man, how happy he would be right now. And I feel like if it wasn't for like some, joint issues, I could play sport at a high level again. Yeah. Like basketball, I schooled a couple 17-year-old kids the other day in the finer arts of
how old are you?
A white guy's pass. 50.
50. Okay, I got sports years old.
It's
I mean, I enjoy you being involved.
Love it.
We started this dog wear and care. You got a dog. Adam and Caitlin, you got to know.
I don't. Yeah, I got caught in like all the. But I did see the one.
Yeah, Caitlin and Adam. I think you've met them. We do. Adam has worked. Both Caitlin and Adam work for Cesar Millan out in.
Yes, I didn't know any of that until I saw your
podcast on it. Yeah. So long story short, we a business born out of this location and Marine 13 going to another level out of this location.
It all seems to fit, right? The dogs, the boats, the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle brand, right?
Right. So we're gonna keep it going, keep having fun.
Love it.
And cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
It's great to have a beer with
God bless.
I'll look forward to this again.